What's up, guys? Welcome back to Unbreakable Grind. It's your guy CJ back with another video, man. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm enjoying myself. I've got a great day planned. Got some new desk equipment. Got my daughter coming, man. I'm sitting here just really enjoying where I'm at in my life. I want to share a video of an audio clip with you guys that I used to listen to all the time, man, when I was building those fundamental building blocks to success in my life. Okay, this actually helped validate a lot of things that I felt and a lot of things that I was going through at that specific time in my life. Okay, this helped me really understand the world around me a lot more. These ideologies validated a lot of things that I thought to be true and helped me understand that they were actually true and that I could actually apply them, and it simplified my life extremely. So check this out. It's a short clip, and then we'll have a discussion on it.
But here's what else I hope you'll find here today, and that is inspiration. And who knows the mystery of inspiration? Why some people are inspired and some are not? You were inspired to get here, some were not. Who knows the mystery of that? I don't know. How come you made it? The rest of them didn't make it. We don't know what that mystery is. Some people turned it down. Some people said it costs too much. Some people said it's going to take too much time. Some people are too busy, right? A lot of different excuses why some are inspired to take advantage of something that comes to town. Others pass it up. We don't know the mystery to that. Here's what I call it: mysteries of the mind. And I just leave it at that. Some things I don't try to figure out. I take the simple approach now, right? Some people do and some people don't. I mean, that's about as profound as my philosophy is. Some buy and some don't buy. Some go for it and some don't. Some change and some don't. And if you've been around for a while, you can usually work out the numbers, right? Out of 10, 3 do, 7 don't. Whatever business you're involved in, pretty soon you got this ratio going. The ones that do, the ones that don't. You say, well, why don't the ones that don't? How come they don't? We don't know. I just leave it as a mystery. I used to try to understand all that. I just take the simple approach now. The guy says, this happens to me, this happens to me, this goes wrong for me, and all this stuff goes wrong for me. How come all this stuff happens to me? I say, I don't know, it beats me. The best I've been able to figure out is those kind of things always happen to people like you. I mean, right? That's the best I got. I don't know. I'm an amateur on this stuff. What do I know? So just take the simple approach, right? That's how it is. Who knows?
I want to jump in right there, everybody. He just said something that was extremely profound. Okay, this is extremely profound. All right, I want to give you guys a peek into something, right? So in the field of engineering, there are two ways you can test a complex system. I'm going somewhere with this. There are two ways. You can do black box testing or white box testing. White box testing, let's say this is the system I'm trying to figure out. This, all right? This is the system. I'm trying to understand this system. There are two ways I can do it: white box or black box. White box is saying, you know what? I'm going to open this thing up. I'm going to open this system up, look inside, and deconstruct the entire system. I want to analyze all the individual components and their configuration so that I can understand what this thing is, understand how this thing reacts to certain inputs, based upon looking inside and analyzing the actual components. On the contrary, you've got black box testing. Black box testing is like saying, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. That might in some cases that's overly complicated for no reason. First, I want to just analyze this thing in the most simple way possible. I want to look at this system. I don't want to look inside of it ever. Forget looking inside. I'm just gonna analyze it externally. I'm going to watch what inputs come into the system and what outputs come out. I'm going to feed the inputs and I'm going to observe the outputs. Feed the inputs, observe the outputs. What this guy is saying is that he understood in life that he can actually apply this philosophy, this strategy to human beings in life. He didn't articulate it that way, but see, I look for the wisdom. He's saying the same exact concept. What you find is when you find the wisdom, you see it in every facet. Engineers, the intelligent engineers who came up with the black and white box testing concept, came to the same conclusion this guy came to when analyzing systems. A human being is simply I was going to say simply a complex system, but the human being is a complex system within itself. And what this guy found is that within that complex system of the human being, a black box test is the most efficient test to categorize a human being. The black box test. This is very important. He said as he went through life, he understood that some do and some don't. Some do and some don't. Upon an event coming in town, some will go and some won't. If you're analyzing a system, you say, hey, let me see if this is one that goes. Event comes in town, they went. Event comes in town, they don't go. Some do, some don't. Some will, some won't. This is very important. We're going to go into this a little more, but I wanted to break down the two testing strategies that are used in engineering to actually understand a system. And this guy came to the exact same conclusion because wisdom is universal. It applies. See, that's when you know you're really thinking and understanding, when your knowledge applies to a universal, the fabric of the universe. You can really just think about this in a multifaceted fashion, and it still applies. Check this out. This is a really, really, really powerful piece of information here.
Interesting story says the day the Christian church was started. Now, I'm an amateur on the Bible, but best account I can remember, the day the Christian church was started, a magnificent sermon was preached. Great presentation. And if you're a student at all of good communication, it was one of the classic presentations of all times. The sermon, the first day the Christian church was started. And it said this sermon, this presentation was given to a multitude, meaning a lot of people. But it was interesting, as the account gives us, the record, it says when the sermon was finished, there was a variety of reaction to the same sermon. Isn't that fascinating? I find it fascinating. It said some that heard this presentation were perplexed. And I read the presentation, sounded pretty straightforward to me. Said, why would somebody be perplexed with a good, sincere, straightforward presentation? Best answer I've got. They are the perplexed. I mean, you know, what other explanation is there? It doesn't matter who's preaching. Right? It said some that heard this presentation mocked and laughed, made fun of the presentation. I thought, hey, this looks pretty sincere to me. If you give a sincere, honest presentation, why would somebody mock and laugh? Easy explanation. They are the mockers and the laughers. What else would you expect them to do? Right? I used to try to straighten all that out, say, well, they shouldn't do that. I don't do that anymore. You know, I've got peace of mind now. I can sleep like a baby, not try to straighten all this stuff out. I used to be so naive. I used to say, well, liars shouldn't lie. See, how naive can you be? Of course they're supposed to lie. That's why we call them liars. They lie. They lie. So I don't straighten this stuff out anymore. Anyway, it said some that heard this magnificent presentation didn't know what was going on. And they're usually easy to spot. They're usually saying, what's going on, right? I mean, they don't know what's going on. But interesting, right? A variety of reaction to the same sincere, honest presentation. Now, it also says, in wrapping it up, some that heard the presentation believed. And I think that's who the speaker was looking for, the believers. Interesting. Now, it said the number of believers was about 3,000. So, pretty good first day. 3,000. I've had some first days, but I never had 3,000.
Guys, as you see, right, that's extremely powerful. All right. So he talked about a sermon. All right. He used an example from a biblical reference about a sermon. Many people observe the same speech, the same stimulus. Many people observe the same input, right? Remember black box testing. He learned to black box. Many people observe the same stimulus, that same speech. The outcomes were different for different people. Some observed the speech and they were perplexed. And he said, you know what? He didn't open up the system and say, let me look inside and see, let me analyze them on a deep level. No, he didn't analyze them on a deep level. He didn't look into the individual components that constructed that thought. He said, you know what? On the surface level, that same stimulus made this person be perplexed. And he then concluded that this is a perplexed system. That's the function of this system. Perplexed. This is extremely important. You have to understand it. See, a lot of people are wasting time because they don't know this. This is an actual fact. You can test this in your life. A lot of people are trying to make people be, a lot of people aren't accepting systems for what they are. It's a very, very unintelligent thing to do. You take a complex system and it's telling you what it is. You give it an input, it gives you the output. It's telling you what it is. But you don't want to accept it. You have to accept it. And this is a strategy to understand what you're dealing with. He said the same stimulus. One person heard the speech, they were perplexed. He then concluded that that's the perplexed. What you have to understand is that's the perplexed. If you ask that person probably won't say, I'm always perplexed. The person will say, I'm never perplexed. I'm just perplexed in this case. But what you tend to find out is that the perplexed will remain perplexed. And how do you know they're the perplexed? Because they're going to be perplexed. The confused, right? The people that were experiencing that same speech and that were confused, those are the confused. The people that had a negative viewpoint, the people that experienced that speech and had a negative thing to say, those were just the negative people. I know this seems like an oversimplification, but you have to understand this. I'm going somewhere with this, but you must understand this. Extremely important. Life can be so simple. So freaking simple. I'm talking really simple. If you abstract it and understand how to actually make it simple or make it be simple. As an engineer, I could take a very complicated system and reduce it to the most minuscule analysis and complexity through black box testing. And actually be correct. I can actually have a correct interpretation of a system without knowing anything about the insides at all. This is a very intellectual, very high value concept. Not to be minimized at all. Very important. Some might go in and try to and say, oh my God, look at the transistors and the configuration in parallel, and there's a limiter circuit and this, and spend years trying to understand, spend a large amounts of time trying to understand a system that can be understood by basic input and output analysis. Complete simplification. That's what he did right here. So a lot of us are saying, wow, I had to take this person, right? A lot of us are dealing with people. They're the system. You give them an input and they're negative. And you're like, okay, let me look inside and see what's going on here. Let me try to give them a different input. Negative. Wait a minute, man. Let me give that same input to a different person, a different system. Input, positive. Why in the world are they positive about the same input that this person's negative about? Okay, let me give the positive person a negative input. Still positive. How did I give a negative input to this person and I get a positive outcome? How can I give a positive outcome to this another person and get a negative outcome? Black box testing. You don't need to understand why. You need to understand the output. Understand the output. The negative will be negative. You need to understand this. As you walk through your life, a lot of you want to be successful. A lot of you are walking around wanting to be successful in your career, relationships, right? Some of you are out here trying to be successful, right? And pursue opportunities. You're getting rejected. You got people saying you won't make it. They're giving you negative feedback. But those are just the negative. Those are just the negative ones. Those are the ones that are negative. So this is what you have to understand. No matter how dumb your idea may be or how smart it may be, there's going to be some who's going to accept and reject the idea. No matter how far on the spectrum of smart or efficient the idea is. Don't ever get it twisted. Many people think that I am going to fail. Many people think I'm going to succeed. I've already succeeded, but some people think I'm going to fail and some still think I'm going to succeed. When I had nothing, some thought I'd fail and some thought I'd succeed. I've got a lot. Some think I'll fail, some think I'll succeed. Always someone saying, wait, you'll see. You'll see, give it 10 years, you'll see. I had someone comment on the video telling me, we'll give it 10 years. Your marriage is going to fail. Well, watch, give it 10 years. We'll see how good this age is. Just give it 10 years. We'll come back and see. Some people are going to say, oh man, your marriage is good now. Oh, it's going to be insane in 10 years. It's going to be even better. Some people say, oh, you're doing good now financially. Wait till you live through a couple recessions. You're going to be done. Some people say, oh my God, you're doing good that young. You'll have money to invest during recessions. You're going to be extremely rich. And this always applies, guys. And what I've learned is to not white box test these people. You black box test them. What you understand is no matter what the stimulus, if you disregard the deep analysis of people and just look at a high level, you will notice a trend. Some people are just positive. They just are. And a lot of you are wasting your time trying to deconstruct the person that's not positive into being positive. Let me look inside and analyze them and figure out what's the deep-rooted cause, and then I'll try to manipulate them into changing. That's a waste of time. It's better to just say that's a negative person. See, how do I know? Input, positive input, negative output. Negative input, negative output, neutral freaking input, negative output. That's a negative person, and it's not even a problem. You have to understand that that's just how it is. That's fine. Understand that this is a simplification that can help you save your life and save your time. Just accept that that's a negative person. Done. That's the solution. You can go to some people with a freaking negative outlook. Give them something negative. They give you something positive. Give them something positive. They give you something positive. Give them something neutral. They got something positive. These are positive people. You can look into why. You can say, you know what? Let me figure out what's the deep-rooted reason as to why. What did they go through? What's the story? But what you need to understand is that's a positive person. Black box testing proves it. The same process that he just mentioned in this video. If you're with a person and you're constantly getting negative, you might be with a negative person. Simple. Understand that there will be negative and there will be positive people. It just is what it is. These simplifications are important. I know some people are going to say that's an oversimplification. It's more complicated than that. I can take the most complicated systems that exist in our world and I can analyze them this way in many cases. I need you to understand that this is at the upper echelon of intelligence and strategy. That's what I need you to understand. We're doing this in some of the most fascinating systems and inventions and scientific breakthroughs that we use today. This same concept. No different when it comes to analyzing a complex system like a human being. Understand, when you go and you have an idea and you go present it to somebody, you're going to have a believer and a non-believer. No matter what. Understand from your perspective, you just have to understand that's not a believer. It doesn't matter what I say, that person is not going to believe me. It doesn't matter what I do. You have to understand that. I need you to understand no matter where you fall on the spectrum, as far as what you're presenting to a person, you can present that same thing to another person and they'll have a totally different reaction. You need to use this strategy to group your interactions. You know what? I'm not going to invest energy into a negative person because the output is negative, even if my input is positive. That's a waste of time. That's a bad investment. I'm going to invest my energy to a positive person because even if my input is negative, which I wouldn't want it to be, but at least that output is still positive. One thing that I get that's a misconception is that my personality, the way I am is situational. It's due to where I'm at now. My character, who I am, my output has not changed the entire time. No matter what life gives me, I'm going to have an answer. No matter what life gives me, I'm going to have a solution. People say, you know what? Wait and see. It doesn't matter if I was at $200,000 in student loan debt. It doesn't matter if I had no skills. It doesn't matter if girls didn't like me. It didn't matter where I was at. It didn't matter if I had to sleep in a car for a period of time. None of that mattered. All that mattered was that all that I knew is for some reason I always had an answer. I always had a solution. Come to find out, I'm a problem solver. That's just what I am. I get people in the comments throwing all types of negativity. Those might be negative people. I hope you guys understand this. I hope you guys are following me. You want to apply these things to your life. You need to simplify your efforts. You need to simplify your efforts. That's not to reduce the hard work. Hard work is not complicated, okay? I'm talking about simplification. Some of us are doing too much. We're opening people up, analyzing them, trying to figure out what happened in their childhood. Why are they acting this way? And trying to deconstruct a very, very complicated system and you're probably not going to succeed. A human system is very complicated. You're probably not going to be able to deconstruct a person and figure out the root cause as to why they're the way they are. It's more efficient to say they're just the way they are. One important quote before we go. Every system, and I mean absolutely every system, is perfectly designed for the result that it gets. Let's say that one more time. Absolutely every system is perfectly designed for the results that it gets. In one part of that audio clip, he said that a person would say, I don't know why this always happens to me. I don't know why it happens to me. And he said back to the guy, I don't know either, but that tends to happen to people like you. You catch that? That person was getting a certain result continuously because their system was perfectly designed for that output, that result they got. And if you black box test it and say, you know what? They always get the same output. It doesn't matter what you do. You can help them. You cannot help them. It doesn't matter what happens. You'll notice a consistency in output in these complex systems we call human beings. This is very important. That's why I surround myself with positive people, because positive people aren't situationally positive. They're just positive. I can try to be negative and they're still going to be positive. You can come to me and smack me in my freaking face, and I'm probably going to have a positive takeaway from it. True story. I've been punched in the freaking face and had a positive takeaway, like literally. Like, man, I just learned something. He just punched me in the face. Literally, it's a real story. I got punched in the face and I was like, dang it, I got a good, like, it's no way to get negative out of me. I've got a solution for everything. That's because I'm a problem solving person. Simple as that. So take this advice, man. I hope it helps somebody. I have to take time out to give the mindset, give the game. It's going to be valuable for the ones that really are seeking these nuggets. I do this because I was seeking these nuggets, man. I found some people that helped me out, like Jim Rohn. If you're interested, if you like how that sounded, that's Jim Rohn. Check him out. An old time speaker, but a very, very powerful speaker. And with that being said, guys, you like this content, hit that like button, subscribe. If you want to see more videos, notifications, you want those immediately. I really appreciate you all tuning in, and the support is very, very appreciated. All right, I'm about to go enjoy the rest of the day. I might get a couple more videos out there and go and enjoy the rest of the day. I hope to see you guys being successful, simplifying your life, and working hard. All right. And with that being said, guys, peace.